miles from Columbus to Pittsburgh, but for these Ohio State Buckeyes, the journey has been much longer than that. There have been ups. There have been downs. They've even earned a ring. But tonight, they want a different kind of ring. It's the call that changes your entire life and makes that journey all worth it. These Buckeyes are not only chasing their dreams, they're chasing history, with 4 potential players in the top 10. Tonight, Columbus is here to steal the show in the Steel City. It's a special NFL Draft edition of The Football Fever, and it starts right now. Welcome to Acrisure Stadium, home of the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight, home of the NFL Draft. Good evening and welcome to a special draft edition of The Football Fever. I'm Dave Holmes, coming to you live from the shores of the Allegheny River. About 300 yards that way, there's a nervous green room of players waiting to hear their name called tonight, and their lives will change forever. Think about this. Right now, there are 16 prospects in that green room nervously waiting. 5 of them are Ohio State Buckeyes. That is crazy. 1/3 of the players representing tonight hail from the same program back in Columbus, Ohio. And because of that, there's a pretty proud football coach in Ryan Day.
This is a big part of what we sell. When you talk about the expectations of being in Ohio State, what comes with this, playing in front of the big lights, the fact that we're held to a very high standard here in how we do things, and we're the face of the university, that translates really well to the NFL. And we have just under 12 million fans here, and so there's a lot that comes with that. And these guys understand that, and again, held to a high standard, so they understand what that's like, being in an NFL-type city. So I think it's easy for organizations to look at our guys and project what they're going to look like going on, to their teams. But it's also the schemes that we're both, on offense and defense, NFL schemes, and so we have coaches who have coached in college and in the NFL. So when these folks come in and talk to our guys, it's easy to say, all right, how do you see him playing? Well, he reminds me of so-and-so. Or remember, when we used to do this, he can do this in this type of scheme. And so that's what folks are looking for guys who understand the scheme that can play in year one, especially with a first-round pick, but also guys that can be the face of the organization.
Ryan Day is the CEO of an NFL manufacturing plant. Last year, they had 4 first-round draft picks. Tonight, they could tie a school record with 5 first-rounders. Those 5 names: Arvell Reese, Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, Carnell Tate, and Caden McDonald. History is on the line. And for more on some of the storylines we're watching tonight, let's bring in the other member of our broadcast team, Kellyanne Stitts, live back in Columbus. Hi, Kellyanne.
Hey, Dave. Thank you so much. As you mentioned, this year's draft class has a chance to make history tonight. Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, and Caleb Downs are projected top 10 picks. If those 3 defensive players get drafted in the top 10, that would be an Ohio State and a draft record. 3 defensive players in the top 10 has never been done before. They also have the chance to break a 10-year record set by the 2016 class. Joey Bosa and Ezekiel Elliott were taken back-to-back with picks 3 and 4. Eli Apple was the 10th overall pick. Now, fast forward to tonight, Carnell Tate is also a first-round talent. If he gets drafted in the top 10, that will set a record for most players by a school taken in the top 10. Caden McDonald could also be drafted tonight, tying the 2016 draft class for 5 total Buckeyes taken in the first round. An exciting night for the Scarlet and Gray, and a lot for us to break down here on The Football Fever, starting with Arvell Reese, who is expected to be the first Buckeye off the board. In an era where players seem to jump from one school to the next, Reese remained patient, and now his patience is paying off. Arvell Reese is poised to become the highest drafted Ohio State linebacker since Tom Cousineau in 1979, a generational talent in the making whose path started in Cleveland, Ohio.
I was 6 years old. I was playing running back. Yeah, I was just amazing at running back. So, yeah, that's when I realized I was good.
Reese realized he was a good football player at just 6 years old, but he wasn't just good. He developed into one of the top players in the state by high school.
Because as a kid when you playing, you ain't thinking like, obviously you want to get to the NFL, but you ain't really thinking that. You just in the moment. But it was just a lot of my childhood coaches pouring into me, my mom, my dad, big brother, everybody around me just pouring into me.
Reese believed he could make it to the top, but he knew it would take hard work and dedication. Fundamental values instilled in him by Glenville head coach Ted Ginn Sr.
G believed in me. He played a big role in that. Trusting those guys at that school and put your head down to work.
His work ethic and talent took him from Cleveland to Columbus, but his journey at Ohio State began with some adversity, learning to play a new position.
His first year played on the scout team. You know, he was a defensive lineman. He was a defensive end, and then in year 2 moved to linebacker.
Reese switched from defensive end back to linebacker in his second year at Ohio State and played in a backup role. Instead of transferring, he went to work.
I just knew it was going to be hard here, it ain't going to be easy, especially in my shoes and how I came out of high school. I knew it wasn't going to be hard, but it wasn't nothing I was scared of.
His perseverance paid off. This past season, Reese finally got his turn and started at linebacker while splitting time as an edge rusher. His breakout season landed him near the top of multiple draft boards.
This is what I expected to get out of coming to Ohio State, to be in this type of predicament. So that's why I came here. That's why I stayed here.
Reese stayed the course, and his path to the top led him to Pittsburgh for the first round of the NFL draft.
He hung in there and knew what it meant to be a Buckeye, and now look at what's going on here. And playing multiple positions has now paid off for him too, because that's what NFL teams see, is somebody that can play on the edge and also can play at linebacker. So I think he's got a tremendous upside. He's still only 20 years old, hasn't turned 21.
Man, just 20 years old, hard to believe. Also why he has a tremendous upside, and NFL scouts agree. They see Arvell Reese as a future superstar with room to grow. Based off his measurables and tape, Arvell was given a first-round grade of future Pro Bowl talent. Multiple draft boards have him at 3 with the Arizona Cardinals. I've also seen him on a couple draft boards at 2 with the Jets. And that includes draft analyst Mel Kiper Jr., who has Arvell, though, at 3. Still, Arvell, the Beast Reese, is currently 6'4" and 241 pounds, but scouts feel he's still growing into his frame and in his game. In his first and only season as a Buckeye starter, he logged 69 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, and 5 QB hurries, named the Big Ten's linebacker of the year and a consensus All-American. Arvell showed off his versatility as an off-the-ball linebacker and stand-up edge, and he feels he hasn't scratched the surface yet in what he can do in the pass rush. We bring in NFL analyst and former College Hall of Fame linebacker David Pollock. And David, many draft boards I've seen have Arvell as the 3rd overall pick, but do you believe he will be taken at 2?
Absolutely, Kellyanne. Like he's a guy that him and David Bailey, I think, are being debated on who's going to be the number 2 spot. I think when you look at Arvell Reese, the upside, he didn't play on the edge all the time. I think you might project him to say, yeah, he's going to. And when he does, he's going to be really, really good at it. So I think it's projection versus what you've seen with David Bailey, and that will debate whether that he goes at number 2. But Arvell Reese, man, he's got the quickness, he's got the hands. Like he literally, when he hits people, they feel him. Even though he's not a big dude, you could see him strike people, and got the versatility too, which he showed at Ohio State.
In just under an hour, we'll find out where Arvell will continue to play ball. But before that, we need to find out where his fellow Silver Bullets might land. Stay with us on this special edition of The Football Fever. That's coming up next. Welcome back to The Football Fever NFL Draft Edition. Now, we are confident Arvell Reese will be the first Buckeye taken off the board. But will Ohio State break history with 4 Buckeyes in the top 10? Dave Holmes sat down with former Buckeyes Beanie Wells and Cardell Jones on the Script podcast to discuss where these Buckeyes will land tonight.
Beanie, Sonny Styles could go as high as maybe number 5 to the Giants. And then today, this report comes out that the Giants aren't interested in Sonny Styles. Yeah, no kidding. I wouldn't be either if the Cowboys and the Commanders, my 2 division rivals, are both picking right around me. So I think that's smoke. I think Sonny could go as high as number 5 to the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about you want a consistent player that you know is going to be there and can kind of transform your defense from a leadership standpoint, Sonny Styles is the way to go. I mean, if I'm the New York Giants, I mean, I look at all the different holes that I do have. I got a quarterback, I got a running back, I got a receiver, although he's coming back from injury. I like that pick right there. Somebody that can command the defense. They need a staple point on the defensive side of the ball. You go back to when the Giants was winning Super Bowls. It wasn't because of their offense and what they were doing with Eli Manning. It was because they had household names on the defensive side that were going to be productive. Now, whether that came from the defensive line, the DBs, or the linebacker position, it was something on that defense that led the charge for them. And I think Sonny can most certainly be the guy and to transform that.
And now these 2 players we're about to discuss, to me, are the most interesting ones because I think the range is way wider. So we start with Carnell Tate. Some people mock Carnell Tate, number 6 to the Cleveland Browns, Cardale. I thought he was going to be the number 1 receiver taken, and I think he most likely will. But then Jordan Tyson's starting to get some good health reports, so now there's kind of a toss-up. Do you think Carnell Tate could end up being a Cleveland Brown Thursday night?
You know what? I think so. I think this is the draft year for Cleveland to focus more on the offensive side of the ball, especially moving and not having many playmakers around whichever quarterback that was in that was taking snaps. And then I think they're still trying to figure out that situation with Deshaun Watson coming off an injury. But yeah, this is the offensive side of the draft for the Cleveland Browns. And I think Carnell will be a great fit for them, a great weapon. But also, I like the other receivers in this draft as well. Mekhi Lemons is a pretty good receiver out of USC who led the lead, who was a Biletnikoff winner this past year out of college. And then you look at Jordan Tyson, who's coming off a little bit banged up injury the last couple of years, his time at Arizona State. But so you're looking at a guy who's been more consistent out of those three guys. Unbiasedly, I would go with Carnell Tate. And I think Carnell is a true number two receiver or number one receiver can play outside more than Mekhi Lemons or Jordan Tyson.
And Beanie, I think what Cardell brought up is why there's a wider range on Carnell Tate, because like Mekhi Lemons, some people comp him to Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? That's a really good comp. So the Browns could potentially get their receiver later. And if they decide to do that, then that knocks Carnell Tate down a little bit. Some people think he could end up as a commander and play alongside Terry McLaurin. So there's multiple places here. Another mock I saw him going to the Saints to play with Chris Olave. So there's also a chance that Carnell Tate could have a little OSU reunion here with another receiver.
I personally think there's a chance that at the number 5 position, although we just talked about Sonny Styles there, that the Giants could say, you know what, let me go out and get a true number 2 receiver to Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, I feel pretty confident those 3 guys are going top 10. If one of them slips, it's Caleb Downs. And this is funny because if you ask 100 football coaches, who's the best football player out of these 4, they're probably going to say Caleb Downs. But because of the position he plays, and Cardell, he didn't test like the freaks they want to see. So what happens is when you don't test like a freak physically, and you don't play a position that's coveted by the draft, he's the guy who could drop. Some people still have him going 10 to the Giants. What's your take on Caleb Downs, and do you think he could tumble a little bit purely because teams don't love taking safeties high?
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting situation because I think the biggest thing is all about need when you talk about the top 10 players. You're not usually drafting always the best players. You're drafting like what is the biggest need for your team, right? And you look at where Jim Harbaugh is coming from, a situation in the Ravens the last 15 plus years has always had a dominant play caller on the back end, if that was Ed Reed or Kyle Hamilton. You look at the comparisons that Caleb Downs has been compared to all of his college career and probably even his high school days. Ed Reed, Kyle Hamilton. So why not reincarnate those guys right there with the number 5 or potentially number 10 pick?
Well, it's sunny here today in Columbus, and it's always sunny in Pittsburgh. The linebacker, Sonny Styles, is set to follow in his father's footsteps and make his NFL dreams come true. But will he be taken in the top 10? We'll dive into that in just a few minutes. You're watching The Football Fever.
My dad, Lorenzo Styles, he played at Ohio State, got drafted in the 3rd round to the Atlanta Falcons, was traded to the St. Louis Rams, and then won a Super Bowl with the Rams. Greatest show on turf.
The super season ends with a Super Bowl victory for the Rams.
He had a great experience in the NFL, and then for me, he's just always been my hero at a young age. Just inspired me to be great. I'm blessed to have him, especially once I switched to linebacker. He used to play linebacker. So being able to talk ball with him and talk to an NFL linebacker who went through the process and played the game at the highest level. So it's awesome to have him.
Welcome back to the shores of the Allegheny River, live in Pittsburgh, site of tonight's NFL Draft. Yes, Sonny Styles, if there's one player who understands legacy, it is Mr. Styles. Of course, playing for the legacy of his father. Also, the legacy of Pickerington, the latest Pickerington product to make it to the NFL. Sonny has a great understanding of his place in history and also of football in general. He is cerebral as he is physical. Here's what Sonny Styles has to say about this life-changing moment tonight.
Getting ready for football. Getting ready for the rookie camp, rookie minicamp, OTAs. And then besides that, just letting things fall into place. Don't be too stressed out about it. It's going to be what's going to be. Hopefully someone's going to take me. So just waiting to see where that is and then get to work. The process, like finally being here, it's a little weird. Like I was so used to like being a freshman and seeing the guys go through it, and being a sophomore, seeing the guys through it, being a junior, seeing the guys go through it. Now I'm the one going through it. So it's interesting. But, you know, I think sometimes when you picture it, you make it like this bigger thing than what it is. It's nothing crazy. You go out there, you meet with people, talk football, talk about yourself, then you go out there and jump high, run fast, go through some football drills you've been doing for years. So I think when you picture it, it's bigger than what it is, but now when you go through it, it's like, man, this is easy. This is awesome.
Hopefully somebody takes me. Yeah, I think that's a safe bet tonight. Sonny's going in the top 10. But when he says that, it gives you an idea of the humility of Sonny Styles. I had a chance to hang out with him for a few minutes this past weekend at the Ohio State spring game. He was back in town, and I asked him about this night and how excited he was. And he said, look, this is not the end of a journey. A lot of people think, oh, I made it. He said, this is the beginning of a journey. My story begins on Thursday night. That's the way Sonny Styles looks at it, hoping to improve and increase the legacy that he's playing for. He also shot up draft boards because he had one of the most impressive combines in NFL history. For more on Sonny Styles, the prospect, let's go back to the studio and Kellyanne Stitts.
Hey, thanks so much, Dave. Speaking of that, the Pickerington native, he's catching the eyes of many NFL GMs and coaches. Sonny Styles graded out as the top linebacker in this draft class. Arvell Reese is being scouted as an edge, but looking at Sonny's future, NFL draft analyst Mel Kiper Jr. has Sonny taken at 6 by the Dallas Cowboys in a trade with the Cleveland Browns. And many draft boards have him taken in the top 7, with NFL scouts comparing him to 49ers star linebacker Fred Warner. And because you cut on the tape, you see why. The Buckeyes' leading tackler, Sonny, is a physical force on the field whose draft stock soared following a historic combine. At 6'5", 244 pounds, Sonny recorded the highest vertical jump by an off-ball linebacker at the combine since 2003, over 43 inches, really showing off his hops, probably why he was also an elite basketball player in high school. Then he ran a 4.46 40. His broad jump was the best that day as well. Overall, Sonny is considered one of the best athletes in this draft class. We now bring in NFL analyst David Pollock. And David, Sonny showed why he's a first-round talent in his performance on the field at Ohio State. But what did you make of his historic combine, especially as a former linebacker yourself?
I mean, well, they don't make very many humans like that walk the face of this earth, right? Like, as good as he looks and then as fast as he runs, to be that size, obviously, for a linebacker, being 6'5", 6'6", that range, like, huge. You know, being 240-plus pounds, running that fast. Like, you saw it on tape, and then when you get confirmation of all the things that he can do. Listen, you don't take positional value, you don't take linebackers high in the draft. That's just not something you should do. You can get a lot more of them in the second round, third round that can come in and start day one. But there's a reason when you have a freak and you have an outlier like he is, like it's just, he's got the ability to do some things that others can't, and that's why you'll see him go higher in the first round than most times you'll ever see a linebacker, an inside linebacker.
Well, he won't be waiting long to hear his name called tonight. Now, coming up, the power of healing through football. How Carnell Tate's story of perseverance through tragedy helped propel him to stardom and gain a new brother. You're watching The Football Fever.
My mom's my wife and also my family. She was my mother, most importantly, she was my best friend, all in one. July 16, 2023, my freshman year of college, my mom was tragically shot in a drive-by shooting in Chicago, where I grew up at. My mom was a football mom. She loved coming to our games, loved cheering us on, loved going out there supporting me and my friends. My mom thought I was going to achieve every dream of mine that I always wanted. We talked about the NFL almost all the time. And my mom was right there behind me, supporting me through each and every step of my journey. She's actually the screensaver of my phone. I got a picture of her. I also wear a necklace around my neck with her name on it. If she was to see me right now, my mom would be very proud of her son. This is everything I ever wanted. All my dreams and aspirations are right here.
Carnell Tate is an incredible story of love, strength, and perseverance. Most of us Buckeye fans know his story all too well. July 16, 2023, Carnell Tate's mother, Ashley Griggs, was shot and killed in a drive-by shooting just outside Chicago. But what Carnell Tate could never have imagined was the way his story would inspire other people. And this past football season, I met a little boy in Central Ohio who idolized Carnell Tate, not just for what he did on the football field, but for the things he endured off of it. On a brisk November night,
let's go Bucks.
104,000 fans filled the shoe.
I got 4 of us.
To watch the Buckeyes play UCLA. 104,000 lives. 104,000 different stories. So is this your first official game in the shoe?
Yes.
Coming together to watch a game that was largely forgettable. Are you feeling excited?
Yes, very.
But a game that 13-year-old Trayvon Brown will never forget. This is pretty crazy, right? Being inside the stadium?
Yes.
Because 24 hours earlier, you think Ohio State's going to win tonight?
Yes.
He buried his mother. What was it like for Trayvon the night before that game?
Well, that was the night of the funeral for his mother, and I just thought we needed something as a family to get away for the night.
But there's no getting away from what happened on November 2nd, 2025, when 33-year-old Shaquilla White, Trayvon's mother, was shot and killed in Northeast Columbus. What was your favorite thing about your mom?
She was really nice. A lot of people loved her. She always tried her hardest.
And for 3 hours on that November night, Trayvon tried his hardest to forget about life, to be a kid again. And there was only one player who could help. Who's your favorite Buckeye?
Carnell Tate.
That's when he told me he was a real big Carnell Tate fan.
So what are you hoping now? You're going to get a Carnell Tate jersey?
I'm hoping to get signed.
Getting a signed Carnell Tate jersey isn't easy. In fact, getting a jersey at all isn't easy. I see some number 17s for sale in here. But after navigating the crowds, we finally found what we were looking for.
Yeah, that looks good, bud.
Me watching Ohio State like I do all the time, I knew Carnell Tate's story already, and so it kind of made sense then.
40-year-old Ashley Griggs was pronounced dead at Mount Sinai Hospital. Griggs was known as the mother of Ohio State freshman wide receiver Carnell Tate.
Carnell Tate's story is all too familiar to Trayvon Brown.
That I'm going through mostly the same thing.
On July 16, 2023, Carnell Tate's mother, Ashley Griggs, was killed in a drive-by shooting on the west side of Chicago. You can't control the hand you're dealt, but you can control how you respond. And that's the story of Carnell Tate.
I mean, the success that he's had in overcoming what Carnell has done. These kids see that. Trayvon's a very smart kid. My grandson's very smart. He sees this.
What does Carnell Tate's story do for you?
It makes it easier for me to get over grief because he got over it and then he was still a good player.
I love being with people their first game in the stadium because it's magic. If you've never seen it, it's magic. I love it.
It's very big.
It's huge, right? Unfortunately, Carnell Tate didn't play that night against UCLA, so Trayvon didn't get a chance to see his favorite player in person. Little does he know, we're about to fix that. Back in November, you told me it was your dream to meet Carnell Tate. I told him your story. He said he wants to meet you. So, turn around, he's right here.
What's up, bro? How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. How you doing, bro? What's your name?
Good. Trayvon.
I'm Carnell. Nice to meet you.
They say you should never meet your heroes.
Well, my dream was a signed jersey from you.
Oh, yeah? We can make that happen today.
But what if your hero is the only one who understands how you feel?
Like, I think about it every day. Like, there's not going to be a day where you don't think about it. It's always going to happen, bro. And it's okay to accept those feelings.
Carnell Tate has almost 2,000 yards and 14 touchdowns during his time at Ohio State. But I would argue that this is the most important thing he's ever done in the Woody Hayes Center.
You're younger than I was, obviously, like, so the emotions are definitely different. But I mean, but just let it out, bro. You got a lot of people in your family that's going through the same thing, and y'all all going to depend on each other.
Depending on each other. At Ohio State, they call that the brotherhood.
You just got to stay strong for her. Know she always wanted the best for you, and continue to make her proud.
One day, Trayvon Brown is going to look back on 2025 with very complex emotions, because that was the year he lost a mother, but gained a brother. We all know football is a physical game, at times a dangerous game, but Carnell Tate is living proof that even the dangerous game of football still has the power to heal. Coming up next on a special draft edition of The Football Fever, we know Carnell Tate will make his mother proud tonight when his name is called by Roger Goodell. But where will the Buckeye receiver land? We'll analyze possible spots for number 17 coming up next when the Fever rolls on.
Welcome back to the Football Fever NFL Draft Special. Now, Carnell Tate should be taken in the first round tonight. If all goes as planned, this will be the 5th straight year that an Ohio State wide receiver has been taken in the first round of the draft. So where could we see Carnell play on Sundays? Well, Carnell on many draft boards have him in the top 10, of course, with a first round grade. And Mel Kiper Jr. has Carnell taken by the Washington Commanders at 7. I've also seen multiple draft boards with Carnell taken at 8 by the New Orleans Saints. And that's because Carnell is coming off his most productive season at Ohio State, despite missing 3 games with a calf strain. He finished with 52 catches for 875 yards and 9 touchdowns, averaging 17 yards per catch. The 6'2", 192-pound pass catcher is a reliable route runner with body control and an impressive win rate in contested catches. But he has some competition when it comes to being the first receiver off the board. Let's talk about it. Arizona State wide receiver Jordan Tyson and Biletnikoff winner Mekhi Lemon have been gaining some momentum in this year's draft. We bring in our NFL draft expert and college football expert, David Pollack. And David, do you believe Carnell Tate will be the first receiver taken off the board tonight?
I don't. I think he's in the competition for it, but I think you got 7 guys that are going to be first-round picks at this wide receiver spot. So, listen, you're going to be a first-round pick. That's awesome. But Carnell Tate, you know, he's not as explosive as some of the other guys in this class. But Tate does what people can't do. I think he was 85% on contested catches. That's not normal. Most of the time when somebody's around you, it becomes very hard to catch the football. If it's a jump ball, it's a his ball. And so I think that will go a long way with him. And let's be honest, Ohio State is wide receiver U. What they've put out consistently. I know LSU has a gripe, but my goodness, you look at guys, Jackson Smith and Jigba, what he just did, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jeremiah Smith, what he's going to do, Carnell Tate, Ibuka last year. The list goes on, and it's just absolutely insane.
Well, I still think Carnell Tate will go in the top 10. Coming up next, he's the smartest guy on the football field, but will his IQ translate into the top 10? We're taking a look at where the number 1 safety in the draft could land. You're watching The Football Fever. Stick with us.
People ask, how did you know you were going to get in this situation? It's just because the people that I had around me, I never thought I couldn't do it. My pops played in the league. My brother plays in the league right now. My uncle played in the league. I remember being really competitive in our household. My dad always had me and my brother going against each other, and I think that competitiveness pushes us all to be our best selves. It was a really emotional night for us. It was more of a competitive feeling. After the fact, it was like, oh, I got to beat him. But it was a great feeling in that moment. I cried. I was happy for him to get drafted. As somebody that's been through the same situation as me that wants to see me succeed, then our relationship is going to continue to grow from it.
Caleb Downs is next in line to extend his family's NFL lineage. His father, Gary, and his brother, Josh, were drafted in the 3rd round, but Caleb is poised to become the first Downs family member taken in the 1st round, of course, receiving a high first-round grade. Analyst Mel Kiper Jr. has Caleb taken at 5 by the Giants. And the Giants actually have 2 picks in the top 10 this year, so I've also seen on multiple draft boards Caleb getting taken by them at 10. And that's because All-American safety finished his college career as one of the best players in the nation. He was an All-American as a freshman at Alabama and continued his tear at Ohio State, recording 150 tackles, nearly 13 tackles for loss, 4 interceptions, and 8 passes broken up in 2 seasons as a Buckeye. Caleb was a captain and regarded as the coach on the field for the defense by all of his teammates. He's a high IQ guy, an elite ball player. He's widely considered one of the best players in this draft class. But the NFL doesn't value the safety position. We bring in our NFL expert and college football expert, David Pollack, for more. And David, do you think he's still taken in the top 10?
Oh, 100%. I think what you do, Kellyanne, is you watch the tape and you're like, all right, this dude's really good at football. He understands where the ball's going, knows how to blitz. He can blitz. He can rush the passer when you want to. Shows you the speed to run people down consistently. And then when you see the measurables and the speed to go with it, that's when you go, okay, this is really, really different. Another thing that happens too is you're surrounded by great players. A lot of times, all right, is it because of him? Is it because of somebody else, right? Like, is he just cleaning it up because of all the other guys that are really great? So I think he backed up what he put on tape, which was already impressive.
Rounding out the Buckeyes slated for the first round is Caden McDonald. K-Mac has a big defensive presence on the field with an even bigger presence off of it. Dave Holmes shows us the player who's putting his money where his mouth is.
Come on, everybody flip. You got to flip.
Caden McDonald has a connection to the Ronald McDonald House that goes far beyond his last name.
You know, my feet way bigger than yours.
It's because his family once walked in these kids' shoes.
My family, they live in the rural area. The house, Ronald McDonald, they took care of them.
And now Caden takes care of the Ronald McDonald House, visiting kids over and over again, even during the busy football season.
It's our favorite Ohio State football player.
Got families in here, been through way more than me playing on the football field.
But this year, what Caden did on that football field mattered to the Ronald McDonald House. He pledged $1,000 for every sack and $1,000 for every tackle for a loss. That added up to $12,000, and Caden presented that check today.
Opportunity to come in, help the kids, you know, do something that it's not worth a penny or a dollar, just coming to help somebody. Because, you know, in this world, man, I just want to be a good person to the world.
The phrase NIL has almost become a dirty word at times, but it's a good reminder that money in the right hands won't stay in those hands forever.
I feel like everybody, you know, we're all like different, but we're all the same. We're all one. It's all a family.
Caden McDonald doesn't just talk the talk.
I'm so blessed to have this family in my life forever.
He walks the walk, putting his money where his heart is, and there are more checks coming in the future.
Just brainstorming. One day you're in the NFL, we add a zero to that check, and we change the name from the Ronald McDonald House to the Caden McDonald House. You in?
Yeah, let's do that. That would be awesome.
I'm Dave Holmes, on your side.
Thanks, Dave. A big man with a big heart who's also going to make some big money. The defensive tackle was given a first-round draft grades, pull it up, by NFL scouts, regarded as a guy with a big upside. Now, multiple draft boards have K-Mac selected by the Chicago Bears at 25. He had a pre-draft visit in Chicago, and the Bears are expecting to target a defensive lineman in the draft if he's still there. Now, Caden is coming off a breakout season that earned him the Big Ten Defensive Lineman of the Year award with first-team All-American honors. This past season, K-Mac totaled 65 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, and he forced 2 fumbles in his breakout season as a Buckeye. Can't wait to see where all of these guys will end up playing on Sundays tonight. But coming up on The Football Fever, you know him as our beloved TFF analyst. But not too long ago, he was getting that special call that took him to the NFL. We get an idea of what the draft process was like for one of our own coming up next. Welcome back to The Football Fever. He's behind the desk now as an analyst, but Jay Richardson was once an eager player waiting to hear his name called on draft day. It was a moment he'll never forget, one filled with plenty of nerves and also plenty of smiles. But don't take it from me, take it from Jay, who joins us to reminisce on his big moment in 2007.
Draft day for me was crazy, anxiety-filled. I had projections kind of all over the place, so I wasn't sure what was going to happen. Funny story, I got a phone call in the middle of the end of the second round, almost to the third round, and it was from Jacksonville, and they were saying, we're going to take you at the top of the third, stay by your phone. I'm all excited. I'm waiting to see what's going to happen. That pick comes up, and they take a punter. Devastated, absolutely devastated. I cut the TV off, didn't want to watch the rest of the draft. I didn't care after that. I was like, I'm not watching this. And the following day, because the latter rounds happened on day 2 back then, I get a phone call from a woman in an office, and she's telling me she's got a head coach on the phone for me. And I'm not watching the draft. On the phone pops Lane Kiffin, and he's the head coach of the Raiders at the time, youngest head coach in the history of the NFL at the time, and he's going, hey, big fella, I got a job for you. You ready to go? And I'm like, oh, yes, absolutely. I'm very happy. And he's like, are you watching the draft? And I was like, no, I'm not. And he goes, oh, God. He goes, cut the TV on. And I cut the TV on, and sure enough, the Oakland Raiders were announcing their pick at the top of the fifth. And it was a really, really cool experience. And I got a chance to start my career there. And, it started me as a rookie, started in 12 games, I think, that season, the following season as well, and the one after that. So it was a really, really beautiful experience, but it was nerve-wracking. All I can tell the draftees this year is try to relax. Don't get too invested in when you go. What's most important is where you go.
Great advice from Jay there. Now, he seems to have a pretty good memory of his draft experience, but what about one of his former Buckeye teammates? For more on Beanie Wells' draft day, let's send it back out to Pittsburgh to our Dave Holmes. Hey, Dave.
Yeah, I decided to have a little bit of fun this week on The Script, the podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes presented by Dr. Pepper. I talked to Beanie Wells and Cardale Jones about their draft memories. I gave them no heads up that I was going to ask them some trivia questions about their own drafts. Now, for Beanie, it's been almost 20 years since he was drafted, so I decided to put him to the test and find out what he remembers from that fateful night. Beanie, let me start with you. What draft pick were you?
31.
Okay, 31st overall to the Arizona Cardinals. That's easy. Can you give me the two running backs who were drafted before you?
Yeah, it's easy. Yeah, Donald Brown and O'Shawn Moreno.
It's like it's nothing. Like it's nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know the next running back who went after you? He ended up being a stud in the NFL.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a Hall of Famer, LaShawn McCoy.
What? Beanie Wells. Look at this. He's a draft analyst. Do you remember who was first your year? Who went first overall?
Matt Stafford, another Hall of Famer.
There you go. So Beanie just swept his trivia. Okay, so Beanie, let me ask you this. All right. Who did you think was going to take you, and how frustrated were you sitting around and waiting until 31?
I was so frustrated. I was literally ticked off. I had went to my room part of the time at the draft party that was at my house. But, I remember sitting there just waiting. And I kept thinking and talking to my agents, like, what's Jacksonville doing? They got to, I want to say, the number 8 or 9 pick, and they took Eugene Monroe. And I'm like, dude, that's where I was supposed to go. The Jackson, I thought that was like absolutely where I was going. Especially after the Seattle Seahawks had taken linebacker from Wake Forest at number 4. Curry was his last name. But they had taken him, and that was a place that I thought I was going to go. I had met with them. They said they loved me. They wanted another running back because they had just lost Sean Alexander. So, but after that pick, I just knew Jacksonville was going to be it. And when that didn't happen, I was scratching my head. Like the running back coach literally told me that you are our guy. They had just traded Fred Taylor, and him and Maurice Jones-Drew had that 1-2 punch. So I'm sitting there talking. Then the Browns, I'm like, there's no way. The Browns, they keep dropping back in the draft. They drop back to 17. They drop back to 24. And when they don't take me at 24, which I think they dropped back to, and got an offensive lineman, I was like, I don't know where I'm going to end up at this point. So it was one of those days that I was glad I wasn't in New York at the time, because I would have been sitting there with the Aaron Rodgers face and like scratching my head, wondering like what the hell is going on. But nonetheless, when I did get drafted, I was still ecstatic because, hell, you get a chance to live out a childhood dream.
We are back here live at Acrisure Stadium, home of the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight, home of the NFL Draft. The draft just about to begin here on ABC 6. Moments ago, they set off fireworks. Military choppers flew over. The crowd's getting hyped. But as you heard Beanie Wells talk there, it's so funny how almost 20 years later, it is still clear as day because this night is so memorable for all these guys. But that was Beanie Wells' experience. Does Cardale Jones remember his draft night? All right, Cardale, your trivia.
Uh-oh.
Okay, give me your round and pick overall.
I was the last pick in the 4th round.
Okay, 4th round, 139 overall. Okay, now this is going to be hard to do, but I want to know how many you can name. 8 quarterbacks went before you that year.
Hey, Cardale.
How many of those 8 do you still know?
Hey, Cardale, this is going to be hard to do because there was so many quarterbacks went before you.
Those are your words, not mine. Your words.
Tough. Like, it was a fourth of the league went before you, drafting further. Okay, so I start from like kind of the beginning. I think we got number 1. It was Jared Goff, unbelievable quarterback.
Jared Goff went first overall.
Carson Wentz out of North Dakota.
Not Carson. I don't think Wentz went.
Wentz wasn't the number 2.
No, you are correct.
Okay,
You are correct.
okay.
I stand corrected. Thank you.
And I don't know the rest of the whole draft. Jacoby Brissett was drafted.
Jacoby Brissett is one,
Dak
yes.
Prescott was drafted before me.
Dak Prescott is one.
Um,
Good job.
I think those really the only ones I really can remember.
I think there's some obscure guy who may have gone to Memphis, I want to say.
Oh yeah, Paxton Lynch came out of Mississippi.
Paxton
Yeah,
Lynch, there
he
you go.
was the one who flew up the draft boards his last year, his last half at Memphis. He had a really good season and really good at the Senior Bowl. I remember. And then
One of them is a Penn State guy who
oh
busted.
yeah, Christian Hackenberg.
Yep, Christian
Yeah, I think he went in
Hackenberg.
the second
And
round.
I think there was, yep, Hackenberg. And I think Michigan State had one.
Connor Cook. Yeah, I
Connor
trained with
Cook.
Connor Cook getting ready for the draft. That's 7. So the 8th one, I can't remember the 8th one.
8th one is Cody Kessler.
Cody Kessler out of USC. Yeah, he went to the Browns, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cody Kess.
I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
that.
So now some of these guys, I mean, Jared Goff had a good career. Dak Prescott, obviously, Jacoby Brissett still doing it. Some of them fizzled out pretty quickly. So, Cardell, do you get angry at the teams? Are you looking at the other 8 guys before you and say, I'm better than him? Like, how do you grapple with that in your head?
You know, I think as a competitor, you're always going to think you're the best man for any given job that you're in the field that you win. But I do think with some of the situations guys got put into versus situation I got put into, I did think at the time I would have probably had more success or done just as good potentially as they were doing. Not saying I was going to go out there and be a rookie, all pro and win offensive rookie of the year. But given an opportunity versus being stuck in a room, being the third guy and not having an opportunity really to move up the rankings and then traded after 1 year, situations are different. But at the end of the day, you can look back at it, they earned the right to be in those positions because of things they did in college. So I don't knock those guys or those teams for picking those guys and having those opportunities. Uh, clearly you wish you had some of the opportunities the other guys did, but it don't work like that all the time. So I'm happy for the success, or I would say the lack of success, but the opportunity I had in NFL, and I'm happy for those guys and the experience they had as well.
Special thanks to Cardell Jones and Beanie Wells for offering their memories tonight, as well as our own guy from the Fever, Jay Richardson, and also David Pollock. Shout out as well to Kellyanne Stitts for holding it down in the studio. Let's take a live look right now over Acrisure Stadium, home of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And tonight, the Buckeyes are going to steal the show in the Steel City. That's a special edition of The Fever. Thanks for joining us.